Hey everybody, welcome to my Suburban Oasis. My name's Soleil and I garden in Zone 6A, and it is super windy and sunny out, but I thought it was time for us to get out and do our weekly walkabout and garden tour. So hopefully things will be really beautiful even though it's a little bit windy. Let's take a look around. Well, we are going to start right here at the fountain garden bed because I have some beautiful Chilean avens that are just blooming right now. They look like little roses. And these are the Blazing Sunset variety, and they are definitely just bobbing in the wind here. All of these beautiful salvia are going right now. Can you believe it? Just look how they glow in the sun today. It is absolutely fantastic. So we have gone from the ajuga that has been blooming in the springtime, and we're starting to turn over to some of our summer blooms, and that includes these beautiful salvia. We have the crystal blue variety, and we also have the azure snow right here, and they blend just beautifully together. Isn't that gorgeous? The pollinators absolutely love these flowers. Throughout the garden now, the Yuki cherry blossom deutzias are also in bloom, and they look gorgeous. They finally fully opened. We have our plum pudding heucheras right here in our little sedum area, and they are also just setting their little flowers atop their leaves, and these flowers are also wonderful for pollinators. Our planters right here are starting to fill out. They're not there yet, but we've got quite a bit of growth that has happened since the last time you saw them, and indeed they have quite a few more beautiful flowers, I think. We have our fountain running, and it is fantastic. It's a lovely backdrop to the garden. I enjoy it all the time. I love to sit outside or even work in the garden with the fountain going. It's just so relaxing. Well, up here we have buds all over our mock orange right now. And this one is called Snow White, and it is going to open probably next week by the time we do our garden tour next week. And this one is a beautifully scented one. It is just gorgeous and wonderfully scented. I still haven't had time to pull out my lilacs, but it's just been hot and really windy and not a good time to do it. So I'm going to be pulling out these Miss Kim lilacs and possibly transplanting them or giving them away. I haven't decided. There's our giant pool cover waiting to be cleaned. Now that it's off, it's wonderful. We have our gorgeous arborvitae topiaries that are filling out still. They're looking great. I'm really happy with how they're flushing out with the new growth. And before June, we're seeing some gorgeous buds on this quickfire hydrangea right here. Lots of the hydrangeas are doing really well in the garden, and between the quickfire and our pink diamond hydrangea, we are really getting ready for some blooms. Maybe even a little earlier than normal. And we have our sonic bloom weigela back here that is just covered in blooms. We have one in the front garden as well that I will show you. That is looking amazing. All along the front of this garden bed are the Millennium Alliums. We have some beautiful sedums as well that I have planted kind of in and amongst the different plants, and some black pearl heucheras in here. And we have our Sicilian honey garlic. Now it is actually blooming. Isn't that stunning? It's a very understated but graceful plant. It looks like we're finally starting to get a bloom on this clematis, so that's exciting. We have actually two different types that are on this trellis, so I'm looking forward to seeing those bloom together this year. The caramel heuchera has really put on a ton of growth. If you see that, it is amazing and just glowing. And now the nine barks have started to bloom, which is fantastic. They have these gorgeous little flowers all along their branches, and they are just doing magnificent and showing off. I think they're really elegant as well. And you can see we haven't lost our blooms yet on this weigela, which I have been growing for years and years. Isn't that beautiful? And you can see way over there across the pool, we have Turtle Boy out now, and you know it's getting warm when Turtle Boy comes out and the pool is open. I'm so happy. Everything looks so much nicer once the pool gets open. We no longer have that cover on it. We're still working on it though. We've got a ways to go. I'm really looking forward to spending some time this Memorial Day weekend in the garden and working around to get things in order. We have our salvias over here that are blooming. These are the Violet Riot, and they definitely make a nice statement against these barberries. After this viburnum bloomed, it got really, really hot and super humid and very windy, and it just really did a number on the blooms. So they went over fairly quickly. I'm hoping some of them were pollinated and that we get some nice berries. This is the Duchess of Edinburgh, and it's a beautiful clematis, and I'm lucky that we have some blooms this year. We have another Yuki Cherry Blossom Deutzia here that is blooming, and then you can start to see all of the dianthus that we planted in this garden all along the edge starting to bloom. And of course you can't ignore the chives still blooming and looking gorgeous along this border. It's always so nice to have some repetition. We're starting to see lots and lots of growth on our butterfly bushes here. These are the Pugster Blue butterfly bushes, and I just love them. So I can't wait to see those start to put on more growth. And then our daisies back here are really tall and getting ready to bud out. Oh, we see Mama Robin over here, or Daddy Robin with its worm. We have a nest up against the house. Everything's looking really nice and lush in this garden bed, and you can see we've started to get the salvia blooms here as well. Now this year I plan to divide and pull out some of the August moon hostas that are in this garden bed because they're getting quite large for their space. So that's these lime hostas right here. And then I don't want them to crowd out the beautiful autumn frost and Ben Vernoy hostas that are in this garden space. The Fothergilla back here that the rabbits or whatever ate down this year is finally coming back. I see nice leafy growth on it, so I'm really happy to see that. That's just a relief because I love that one. It puts on some nice fall color for me. That's a Mount Airy Fothergilla. Here we have the April Night Salvia, and right behind it we have a Firelight Hydrangea. And these salvia last year bloomed 3 or 4 times for me after I cut them back, so I hope they perform that well again this year. You just never know. A lot depends on the weather, doesn't it? All of these honeysuckle bushes are currently in bloom, and they smell amazing. And they are dropping all of their little blooms that dry and fall off onto the pathway and looking really pretty. But eventually they will turn into seeds, and I will have to pluck them all out of the path because I will have lots of baby honeysuckles. Well, this is just the catchfly, the variegated catchfly. Clifford Moore is the name of this one, Clifford Moore catchfly. Very pretty, the pollinators love it, and it looks great with this bilberry hosta in front of it, or I'm sorry, heuchera. And over here we have the back to the fuchsia salvia. Our alyssums are still taking root right now, so they aren't super big, but they definitely seem to be taking well. Over here we have the silver gumdrop heucheras with some panicum grass between them. And the Kaya geranium. And I have come through and started to clip some of my boxwood balls. So some of them look a little tidier than others. I am a messy gardener. I don't put something out to catch my clippings, so I just kind of let them fall where they are and then let them compost in place. So that's just my method. You do you. I'm going to need to trim back the polemonium. This is the Heaven Sent polemonium. I'll cut it back by about half. And I'm getting some blooms, some really nice buds right now on my Let's Dance Can Do hydrangea. This is a reblooming hydrangea. And I found a seedling that I potted up of this heuchera right here. Got this cage over it, or this cloche, to ensure that nothing digs it up, because we have still lots of chipmunks and squirrels and rabbits and all sorts of wildlife. I don't think we're going to have time to go in the way back today, but I will give you a really nice peek. My husband helped me level off this bench because after the fence was put in last year, it was a bit unlevel and unsafe to sit on. So I'm really glad to have that fixed, because it's a wonderful place in the shade for me to sit and relax when I'm gardening. So we'll just take a peek over the back here so you can see. Everything's really, really lush back here still. The ferns are doing pretty good, and so are the pulmonaria. And so we'll need to get back here and do some work with some of the weeds, kind of cutting those down. And I'll just do a chop and drop where I chop the weeds and let them fall in place and just help to provide some sustenance to the soil, because I'm really still trying to work on improving the soil back here. You can just see all of the blooms on these honey locusts, which are so invasive, but I still like them. Oh, I have a chipmunk following me through the garden today. The Brunnera are looking nice and full. These are the Jack of Diamonds variety. I've come through and I'm starting to try to label things so that if people come through my garden, they can just take a look at tags and see what they are. So here's a Charmer hellebore. And you can see the autumn ferns are really starting to fill in here. Super excited to show you just how many buds are all over this Jetstream hydrangea. The oak leaves on this are stunning in the fall, and the blooms are going to be gorgeous. I'm so excited. That one did really well for me last year. It's probably the best one, but this one is really filling out as well. I'm not sure if I will get blooms on it though, because of all of the animal damage that it got this last winter. We'll see. Here we have some striptease hosta that have really filled out. The striptease hosta is just a gorgeous hosta. It's probably the perfect size. It's a medium-sized hosta that just about anyone could fit in their garden. We're getting lots of nice new growth on the rhododendrons. So hopefully in a couple years they will actually be taller than this hosta, which is a stunner, you guys. Just look at this. Holy moly. Can you tell the size of this hosta? I mean, it's pretty much as wide as a fence panel, which is, I think they're like 6 feet. It's amazing. That is just amazing. And we'll step back a little bit here so you can see the garden from this distance. And I need to rhubarb harvest over here. There's some good rhubarb. It's time to cut some of that. I love making a simple syrup out of it. The birds are so happy today. So am I. It's just a beautiful day to be out in the garden. We have the butterfly blue scabiosa that's starting to bloom over here, and it's got buds all over it. Pretty soon it's just going to be a fire with blooms. And this phlox right here, I think this one is cloudburst. And our allium over here, the Schubertii, are starting to bloom. Check this out. Look at that wild and crazy thing. I just love it. Love, love, love those. We have a few of them. And I've got some sedum back in here tucked away. I think this one is the tiramisu. I'm gonna have to go back and look at the tags on that one. Now this is actually a gate right here, so I want to dig the Brunnera out of here and transplant them somewhere else, but I'm waiting for a cooler period. I may even wait until fall, I'm not sure. They're just so gorgeous. I hate to have to transplant them and have them look funny. I'm probably going to transplant them over in this area down here, and I'll show you where. The potager garden is just full of blooms also right now. And our gold strike lady's mantle over here is getting ready to bloom. Not quite there yet, but you can tell it's just on the edge of opening. So we've gotten out some of our garden statuary. And I just love concrete statuary. You can see the lungworts that I have cut back are starting to come back as well. And they will just flush out and be really full in about 2 weeks. They'll probably be right back to full. And you can see this 9-bark right here has its beautiful flowers on. This one's in a little bit more shade than some of them, so not quite as many flowers, but still beautiful and a gorgeous contrast. So you can see this pink diamond hydrangea tree right here. The buds on it are so big. They may be opening next week. I would not be surprised. We have lots of good weather on the way, I think. And the buds on this hydrangea are also very big. They're about 3 times as big as they were last week. So this is where I'm thinking about putting some of the Brunnera. I think it would be a really nice light color to light up this space underneath of the purple leaf plum, along with that sedum. And that's the coral jade, lemon coral jade sedum. Isn't this amber jubilee pretty? We have the other one, and these are 9-bark as well. I have the other one in the potager garden with even more blooms on it, so we'll take a look at that in just a second. We're starting to get some blooms on the Boom Chocolata geranium. And the phlox that are along this shed are getting ready to bloom, and the geraniums are blooming beautifully. And all of our dianthus is starting to bloom in this area. It's just pops of color everywhere. And yes, I have bags of soil everywhere because I'm still working on things. Look at this Yuki cherry blossom jutsu over here. Oh, isn't that lovely? And then we have the Rainbow Sensation Weigela that is in bloom. And behind that, we have some peonies. These are the Bowl of Beauty peonies that are starting to bloom, as well as the Dalmatian peach foxgloves that I planted. So much color. Let me just show you this 9-bark. Come down here and turn around so you can see what it looks like. That is just pretty. And my 9-bark standards seem to be doing pretty good. I have 2 of them that I have tried to tree form here, and they look like they're doing well. My lettuce has been super healthy. And let's step into the front garden. Well, we definitely have a much better view in this garden than we used to. And it's taken a while to get to this, but now it's here. The neighbor painted their fence very similar color to mine and put some caps on the top of it, and it looks amazing, doesn't it? I'm probably going to be transplanting a barberry that is now hidden way back in here under all of the lilies. I think that that will be some nice color, possibly out in the front, one of these front garden beds out here. You can see the low growth sumac that we chopped way back is coming up above the lily of the valley now, looking really nice and healthy. I also want to come through and take out the euphorbia. I don't like the euphorbia. It's something that I had one plant of and then it's self-seeded in a couple of areas. This is a bit of a blue corner right now with the blue hostas and the blue fothergillas, which I think is beautiful. By the time July comes around though, I'm worried that it might be too much sun. We will see. I may just have to ensure that there's plenty of water. It will just probably get a little less blue as the wax kind of fades in the sun. But over here our crabapple is doing great, and I did stake it up just to make sure that it was nice and straight. It was a little bit crooked. We have our bedazzled hostas, and our back and black sedum is really happy in this spot. It's put on some growth already just in a couple days. And I cannot say enough about how many blooms are on this Sonic Bloom Weigela. You can hardly even see the shrub. All it is blooms. Can you imagine what that will look like when it's 3 feet by 3 feet? Oh, it will be gorgeous with the junipers sticking out up above them. So pretty. And I do have a Weigela at the end here. I think this one is a spilled wine Weigela. It could be also something else. I don't know. Its foliage is really dark. Over here we have some more salvia that's blooming. This one is, gosh, I can't remember what the name of that one is. I bought it and it didn't have a tag. And then we have the crystal blue salvia next to that one. It might be Violet Spires. It's a proven winner's variety that they don't really make much anymore. So the daisies out here are looking great. And now that we've got this garden bed cleaned up from the alliums, I think it just looks a bit more tidy. And soon we're going to be starting to see some blooms from the Veronica that is in this garden bed. And I can start to see some of the blue right now. The Venice blue. So these will probably be blooming for us next week. We'll keep our eye out. And then lots of buds on the oak leaf hydrangea out here as well. So exciting. We still have some of the Concertina iris blooming. I need to clean that up. And then His Royal Highness back behind it is blooming. I really like the Concertina. I'm not as thrilled with the Royal Highness. It's kind of just a, I don't know, a ho-hum purple. It does look pretty, but I've got better ones, obviously, that I like more. So if we spin around the front, you'll be able to see the Yuki Cherry Blossom Deutzias here that are in bloom out in front of the barberries, along with the dianthus that we planted. There's just so many wonderful blooms this time of year. We have some of that Venice blue Veronica out here that's starting to bloom. And then we'll have the Magic Show Ever After Veronica that's right here that has a really beautiful foliage. And we have some Allium Schubertii out here as well. Got 5 of them getting ready to bloom here. Well, even though we have viburnum beetles on these viburnums that have the white blooms on them, they are looking pretty good. They have some gorgeous blooms on them, and we're starting to see the beautiful blooms on this elderberry, the black lace elderberry. I thought they would be more open this week, but not quite. Maybe they're waiting for the heat to pass over. That would be nice. Maybe they'll last a little bit longer that way. The fescue that I transplanted is doing okay. Not super amazing, but it will probably be much better by the end of the summer. And we have our dianthus blooming here. And then in this garden bed, let me just kind of back up a little bit so you can see this 9-bark, which is so beautiful. These are the tiny wine 9-bark in this garden bed. We have the Maynite salvia along with the Caradonna salvia in this garden bed, blooming right now. And here's another tiny wine 9-bark at the end. Again, just smothered in those light pink blooms. We have some of our African daisies starting to bloom, so you can see the color on them. The purple and the yellow. Be a beautiful contrast. We'll have to pull the violas out soon. They're not doing as great now. Let's take a look over up by the porch so I can show you what's going on over here. Our impatiens are looking rather lovely. They've taken quite well. And our hydrangeas, these are the Cape Lookout hydrangeas. So these are starting to put out some nice new growth. And I need to come through and water that moss, but it's still doing well. It's just been so windy that it just desiccates things. You can see how nice all of that impatiens are just filling out these pots. And then over here, finally, I want to show you our little Henry, our sweet spires that we planted. They're probably about twice as big as they were about a week ago. They're doing amazing. I mean, they have adapted so well to this. I can't believe it. If they continue to do this well, they're probably going to be 3 by 3 feet in no time. And you can already see that they're providing a little bit of an impact along the edge here. So we have a good 6 of them. And I'm just really, really happy with how they look. The royal ferns are huge this year. They're normally quite huge, normally about 4 feet, but I think this year we've got some that are probably 5 feet tall. We have a PG hydrangea standard on this corner. And we have a little lime hydrangea right here, along with the strawberry Sunday hydrangea. And on this burning bush that I tree formed, I'm gonna have to come through and just do a little bit of cleanup on the stems here. But otherwise, it's looking really, really good and nice and healthy. And we're just about at the end of the bloom cycle for this shrub here, which is the eastern snowball bush. And so I'm going to trim that back as well really soon, probably this weekend. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this walkabout and garden tour. It's a beautiful time in May to get out in the garden. It's a perfect time to continue to divide and transplant things before things really heat up, get things watered in, begin to plant out some pots. It's just a great time of year. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time.